Pivoting to something far less exciting is the 2022 Volkswagen Jetta. And if there is something exciting, the Jetta GLI, which is basically a Golf GTI in a sedan form. But Volkswagen dished out some updates for this this week. It's a mild refresh, so there's nothing substantially different here on the outside in terms of design. There's some new bumpers. The grille gets a little redone. And like, I'm just going to offshoot, like the grille isn't that big of a change, but it looks like it's jutting forward so much more, especially on the GLI. And it looks like a fat lip or something. It looks kind of weird. I don't know. Very strange. Otherwise, I actually think the Jetta's a pretty handsome sedan. Like, it's so inoffensive. I think that design will age very well. It's like, just a clean design. It's very German, is what I would say. But yeah, overall,
inoffensive is the perfect word for it, really.
Yeah, it really is. Maybe not so much the new Civic, but like the previous generation Civic, that was pretty expressive. So it's like, did you want a Jetta or like this Civic that looks like it's a Japanese Gundam or something? It transforms. I don't know. But it also gets LED head restyled lights and all that good stuff back there. GLI gets proper LED projector beams. And you get a nice range of wheel selections between 16 and up to 18 inches for the GLI, because that's the sportier model. Fill out those wheel wells, Craig.
Right.
I'm sorry, you were going to say something?
No, I just said that's right. They fill out the wheels, those giant 16s. No, 18s are the biggest.
But once upon a time, a 16-inch wheel was a huge deal. That was like a very premium option.
It was, especially if it was an alloy wheel and not like a stamped steely. Although I am still partial to steelies because they look cool and they're functional. But
you could tell we're taking an off ramp here, but yeah, steel wheels are so cool still on certain vehicles. Like the new Maverick. The Maverick looks really cool with the base steel wheels.
Oh yeah, hell yeah!
I think so. I think so for sure.
The new Maverick is going to be a blockbuster. Not because of the wheels necessarily, but other reasons. We've talked about it before. But yes.
Yeah. Yes. Anyway, back to the Jetta, everybody. The bigger change is under the hood because Volkswagen took out a 1.4 turbo, and in its place, there's a 1.5 turbo now. I think Craig generously joked that this was like a big block, like Volkswagen's big block engine now under the Jetta's hood. So you got a little bit more oomph here, 158 horsepower, 184 pound-feet of torque. And Volkswagen says that's distributed better throughout the rev range. So, hopefully it doesn't feel like all the torque is down low. And once you get on an on-ramp, you're wheezing for power or something like that. But yeah, there's a lot of other mechanical changes going on here that, once again, I am not an engineer and I probably couldn't explain very well. In fact, Craig would do a better job at that. But with all of those mechanical changes, we're looking at a 0 to 60 time in like the low 8-second range. So long story short, don't take your standard Jetta. Well, yeah, I was just going to say, but long story short, don't take your Jetta to the drag strip. But I mean, we come from a time when supercars used to strive for like 7-second 0 to 60 times, 6-second 0 to 60 times. The fact that a 2022 Jetta is closing in on that ballpark is a wild timeline, in my opinion.
With a 1.5 liter engine, like that's nothing.
Yeah, it's really wild. Really, really wild. I don't know. I just keep I'm looking at the car here as it rolls by, and it's just, I don't know, something about that front clip redesign. It's interesting, to say the least, for me. I don't know. It's just not something about it feels
bad, because interesting can be damning with faint praise.
No, I'm not trying to give it a backhanded compliment, because I think the GLI is cool. Like kudos to Volkswagen for still building like a sports sedan. I mean, it's not all-wheel drive, but you could technically cross-shop this with a Subaru WRX and get, sort of the same-ish vibe. I mean, not really, but at the end of the day, they're sports sedans and they're affordable. You know, the WRX and obviously the STI would be way, way more. But I don't know, just something about it it feels off for me. I will say, though, the interior looks quite nice. It took a lot from the new GTI and the standard Golf that Volkswagen doesn't sell here anymore. You know, there's a digital cluster that's now standard. The infotainment's kind of like tilted a little bit more towards the driver. The new Volkswagen badge is inside. It still looks very just like sterile is like what I like to describe Volkswagen interiors as, because I just feel like they're missing some sort of pizzazz. I don't know about you, Craig.
Mm-hmm. I would agree. You said inoffensive earlier, and now you described the interior as sterile. I think those are totally fair descriptors for this car. They're also part of the reason it's going to age well, I think, because it's not a flash in the pan design. It's sort of conservative and laid and you know, very simple, and it may not be exciting in the here and now, but it should look good 20 years from now, where you can't necessarily say the same thing about a Prius.
Yeah, funny thing. There was actually a Prius Prime and a standard Prius driving in front of me the other day, and I can't remember the last time I saw like both of those back ends like side by side to see how different they actually are. Anyway, that's super, super random. Aside from all of these changes for the Jetta, you get the IQ Drive suite, which is, you know, your all sorts of active safety and driver assist features. How could you not sell a car with that kind of stuff today? It's becoming more and more prominent. Yeah, no, you can't. And even with all of that, we don't have final prices, but look for the new Jetta GLI to still start around $22,000, which is pretty cheap in a world where the average car is like 41 grand.
Yes. So the new Jetta, just about $22,000, nearly half the average transaction price there, which makes it a pretty good value. So that's the advantage. You've got a car that they didn't do like a clean sheet redesign on. They didn't make too many changes, and they can keep the price low probably because of that. So
yeah,
if you're not,
and especially
don't have your heart set on an SUV, if you can live with a sedan, try the Jetta.
Yeah, I mean, and in a world where the Passat is dying, it's going away. Believe it or not, the Jetta accounts for 29% of Volkswagen's U.S. sales. That is no small number. So Volkswagen's still moving a lot of these cars.
Absolutely. So yeah, people, and brand recognition for the Jetta too. People know what a Jetta is. They know who builds the Jetta. It's sort of like the Civic. Everybody knows it's a Honda. Everybody knows it's a small car. So that's the same stands true for Volkswagen here. So they can't like get rid of the Jetta. It would be a big loss for the brand, I think. But if you like what you see, the new Jetta and GLI should be available a little bit later this year, likely around about the November time frame. So if you're shopping for a car or you want a sedan, you don't want to spend too much.
Pick one up for Black Friday.
There you go. And check your local VW dealer in a couple months, because they ought to be there.